Good morning, everyone. I hope you are well and good today. So, before we are going to discuss our new lesson or topic for this week, let us review first our previous lesson about the introduction to applied economics. So, last week we discussed about the information or what information literacy is, and we indicate how many hours you spend each week for YouTube, books, Facebook, and televisions. And of course, we discussed why do we need to study about the media and information and technology literacy, and then also the advantages and disadvantages of technology. So as what I have said, na merong advantages and disadvantages ang technology, but always choose na gamitin yung technology in a right way para yung oras mo hindi lang sa gadgets or hindi lang sa social media na bubuhos lahat. Magagamit mo yung oras mo sa ibang bagay na pwede mong gawin sa isang araw. And then, technology is the way of communication. Of course, especially amidst of pandemic that we are facing right now, 'di ba? Napakahalaga yung technology sa atin ngayon because technology is the way of communication. Makakapag-communicate tayo sa ating mga family, friends, or kahit na sino man na importante sa buhay natin. Malalaman natin kung okay lang ba sila, kumusta na sila, ano na yung nangyayari sa kanila, kasi nga sa nangyayari sa panahon ngayon, hindi basta-basta tayo makakauwi sa ating pamilya, especially sa mga taong mahalaga sa ating buhay na malayo sa atin ngayon. And then rules of media in our daily lives. So ano yung mga epekto ng media sa buhay natin? Meron bang itong magandang dulot sa atin? Of course, meron. And then, we try to imagine if one day, magigising na lang tayo, wala ng internet, libraries, and cell phones, and then newspapers, magazine, radio station, and TV channels have also disappeared. So, ano yung mangyayari? How would you be informed of anything now? And then, what ways would you have to communicate with one another? How would you share information and communication, news and events? And then, of course, what would happen with the decision you usually make? And what would you personally miss most in such a situation? And then, what would society lost in this situation? So, those are the questions if one day wala na yung technology. Paano tayo makakakuha ng impormasyon? So, yun yung first week natin na lesson. Now, let us proceed to our new topic about the evolution to traditional to new media. So, we have here a specific learning objectives. At the end of the lesson, the learners will be able to: first, you have to examine the technology or resources available during the prehistoric age, the industrial age, the electronic age, and then the new or digital age. And then, identify the device used by people to communicate with each other, store information, and broadcast information across the different ages. And then, of course, value the importance of media evolution. So, we have here a picture of median voyage or sinking of the RMS Royal Mailship Titanic. So, I am going to read to you the story of sinking the Royal Mailship Titanic. RMS Titanic was a British passenger liner operated by the White Star Line that sank in the North Atlantic Ocean in the early morning hours of April 15, 1912. After striking an ice bridge during her maiden voyage from Southampton to New York City, of the estimated 2,224 passengers and crew aboard, more than 1,500 died, making the sinking one of the modern history deadlights peacetime commercial marine disaster RMS Titanic was the largest ship afloat at the time she entered service and was the second of the three Olympic-class ocean liners operated by the White Star Line. She was built by the Harland and Wolff shipyard in Belfast. Thomas Andrews, chief naval architect of the shipyard at that time, died in the disaster. So the wreck of Titanic was discovered in 1895, 73 years after the disaster. During a Franco-American expedition and United States military mission, the ship was split into and is gradually disintegrating at a depth of 12,400 feet, 2,069.2 fathoms, and 3,784 meters. Thousands of artifacts have been recovered and displayed at museums around the world. Titanic has become one of the most famous ships in history, depicted in numerous works of popular culture, including books, folk songs, films, exhibits, and memorials. Titanic is the second largest ocean liner wreck in the world, only being surpassed by her sister ship HMHS Britannic. However, she is the largest sunk while in service as liner, as Britannic was in use as a hospital ship at that time of her sinking. The final survivor of the sinking, Melvina Dean, aged 2 months at that time, died in 2009 at the age of 97. So, yun yung sa pagkakalunod ng Titanic. So, yun, try to imagine, class, kapag nangyari to, or di ba nangyari na ito, so, paano tayo makakakuha ng impormasyon if walang masasalba dito? So now, let's proceed to the telegraph and telegram. After the introduction of the European semaphore lines in 1792, the world's desires to further its ability to communicate from a distance only grew. People wanted a way to send and receive news from remote locations so that they could better understand what was happening in the world around them, not just what was going in their immediate town or city. This type of communication not only appealed to the media industry, but also to private individuals and companies who wished to stay in touch with contacts. It was the European optical telegraph or semaphore that was the predecessors of the electrical recording telegraph that changed the history of communication forever in America. In an effort to bring an option of long-distance communication to the United States, American inventors began working on their own version of the telegraph. Building on the success of the optical telegraph, Samuel F. B. Morse completed a working version of the electrical recording telegraph in 1837. Nearly half a century later, after communication by telegraph had already been possible in Europe. Before Morse finished his electrical recording telegraph, also as Morse telegraph, there were other inventors who had also designed working version of a telegraph. For example, Pavel Skilling completed an earlier version of a telegraph that used electromagnetic telegraphy in 1832. Additionally, were German, Swedish, and the other inventors around the world that also had invented their own successful models of the telegraph. As well, there were the first telegraphs that were used for sending personal messages across the distance. So there are four primary types of telegraph machines: optical telegraphs, electrical telegraphs, Morse telegraphs, and the wireless telegraphs. Eventually, transcontinental telegraph lines were established for worldwide communication too. In 1872, the last country to become connected by telegraph was Australia, which then made it possible for news to spread worldwide. So one of the most common uses for telegraphs in the United States was for the railroad lines. Telegraphy made it possible to know when trains were leaving and when they should be expected to arrive, which in turn streamlined the railroad industry. Additionally, the military also utilized telegraph machines in much of its day-to-day communication. Initially, the cost to send each message was expensive, which meant sending personal messages by telegraph was not a common luxury that everyone had. However, the price did not drop or did drop, and the delivery rate of the messages also became more stable and advancements were made. Eventually, the teletypewriter was introduced. It offered an automated way to receive and send messages, which completely changed telegraphic encoding forever. Although the telegraph that Samuel F. B. Morse successfully tested in 1837 is no longer in use today, in full it gave rise to many other forms of long-distance communication. For example, wireless telegraphy, also known as radio telegraphy. It's still a very important part of society. So now, let's go back to the questions. If the Titanic sank today, in what format would people receive or read the news? Now, let us proceed to the evolution of media. Pre-industrial age, before 1700 S. People discovered fire. Developed paper from plants, forged weapons and tools with stone, bronze, copper, and irons. Example: cave painting, clay tablets in Mesopotamia, papyrus in Egypt, Acta Duema in Rome, Daibao in China, printing press using wood blocks, code in Mayan region. And then for industrial age, from 1700 S to 1030 S. So people used power of this steam, developed machine tools, established iron production, and the manufacturing of various products, including books, through the printing press. Examples: printing press for mass production in the 19th century, and then for the newspaper, the London Gazettes in 1640, typewriter 1800, telephone 1876. And then motion pictures, photography, projection, commercial motion pictures in 1913, and then motion pictures with sound 1926, and then telegraph, and then punch cards. So for the electronic age, from 1930 to 1980, the invention of the transistor ushered in the electronic age. People amazed the power of the transistor that lead to transistor radio, electronic circuits, and the early computers. In this age, long-distance communication become more efficient. Example: transistor radio, televisions in 1941, large electronic computers, mainframe computers, personal computers. And then for the information age, 1900 to 2000s, The internet paved the way for the faster communication of the creation of social network. People advanced the use of microelectronics with the invention of personal computers, mobile device, and a wearable technology. Moreover, voice, image, sound, and data are digitalized. We are now living in information age. So, examples: web browser, Mosaic 1933, Internet Explorer 1995. Blogs, Blogspot in 1999, LiveJournal 1999, WordPress 2003, and then social networks: Friendster 2002, Multiply 2003, Facebook 2004, microblogs, Twitter 2006, video YouTube 2005, augmentable reality, virtual reality, video chat, Skype 2003, Google Hangouts 2013, search engines, Google 1996, Yahoo 1995, portable computer, laptops 1980, netbooks 2008, tablets 1993, smartphone, wearable technology, and the cloud, and big data. So those are the examples of information age, which is ito na yung hinaharap natin ngayon. Ito na yung mga ginagamit natin ngayon, na meron ng YouTube, meron ng Twitter, meron ng Facebook, 'di ba? Marami na tayong mga gamit ngayon na pwede natin gamitin to communicate with someone. So, any questions regarding with our lessons? So, if none, just go to your learning path for your activity at www.gaitf.com. So that's all. And then we have here a questions. In what way does media affect your life, personal, professional, academic, social, others? So, yun. So, let's have first an oral. In what ways does media affect your life? So, that's all. Thank you. So, again, if you don't have any questions, just open your learning path for your activity at www.gaitf.com, or message me or call me at 092629748685. So that's all. Thank you and God bless.